Wood's Trial. Action and Adventure in the Florida Keys. Mac Travis Adventures, Book 18. Written by Stephen Becker. Performed by Paul J. McSorly. Prologue. The good news was that he could see it coming. The bad news was that he could see it coming. An island, a piece of land surrounded by water, had its pros and cons as somewhere to live. For Mac Travis, his Florida Keys Island home, which sat 8 miles from its nearest neighbor, held mostly pros. Bill Woodson, known as Wood, had gradually settled the island 20-odd years ago. With his passing, Wood's daughter, Mel, became its owner. She and Mac had lived there together for a decade until the call of mainland civilization pulled Mel just a little too hard. Mac understood. He just couldn't live any other way. What was seemingly the biggest con was actually not. The most asked question of Keys residents was how they could live there with so many hurricanes. It is a misnomer that the Keys are a hurricane magnet. A little research shows that the Gulf Coast holds that title. That's not to say the Keys are immune. The current season, from May through November, had given a few scares, but nothing worse than a single higher-than-normal tide. That said, it took only a wobble from one of the many storms passing on either the Gulf or Atlantic side to cause problems. As with anything, complacency was slowly settling over the Keys. The locals still remembered Hurricane Irma. Some flinched every time a storm formed and still carried a little PTSD, which was now embedded in their psyche. Others had moved on. The majority slowly forgot. There was nothing to worry about the present late-season system, still a mid-level low that had formed over the eastern Caribbean. The mountains in Hispaniola and Cuba had done their work, and the storm remained disorganized, barely a tropical depression as it passed the Keys. As it often did this time of year, once the storm reached the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico, that would change. Fueled by warmer waters, the depression would become more organized and probably become a hurricane before it, like so many others, made landfall along the Gulf Coast. The cons of small island living were mostly inconvenience-related. There was no mini-mart to buy a quart of ice cream or a six-pack of beer. Everything, from shopping to doctor's appointments, needed to be planned days in advance because of the possibility of bad weather. This time, there was no real danger, just inconvenience. A quick downburst from one of the many squalls moving low and fast below a mostly blue sky dumped its rain and then quickly moved on. With an uninterrupted view from his stilt house.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?